you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there, ladies, things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the wonderful thing that we put on here on the Chris Voss Show for 16 years, 2,800 episodes of bringing the Chris Voss Show with all the most amazing minds, the stories, and journeys. We are the oldest podcast in existence, still broadcasting daily. We've checked with some of the hosting platforms, and we can say that with confidence. We're old. 16 years going on 17. We were the babies of the early grandfather era of podcasting. Support the show. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and whatever the other one is I'm missing. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Today we had an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about his books. He's got quite a few books that he has to offer, and the latest one we're going to get into called When the Radio Went Silent, A Life on the Road Between Duty and Home by James S. Wynecoop. This is on the show with us today. So we're going to get into it with him, find out some of his deets and all that good stuff. He is a retired tribal law enforcement officer, firefighter, EMT, and author whose work draws from the decades of real-life experience in policing, Native American heritage, and rural communities of the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. His writing blends with honesty, humanity, and storytelling to explore life beyond the badge, family, culture, loss, and resilience. He writes from a lived experience from years in law enforcement, tribal, and rural policing, Alaska's North Slope, family memories, hunting traditions, and quiet reflections that come with age, service, and survival. Every one of his books carries a wonderful story and a piece of his life. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Welcome from Eastern Washington.
Oh, it's welcome, James. It's good to have you. So give us any.com's website, social media. Where do you want people to get to know you better on the interwebs?
I have a website at .com and then another one at .com.
Got them both. You're covering all your bases.
Yes.
Make sure those other wine coops, because it's like Smith over there in Garcia in Mexico, right? Wine coops everywhere.
That's true in this area.
I can see you starting a clan with this name, the Wynecoop clan.
Yeah, there could be, and there may have been. I'm not sure.
Sounds like the Bonnie and Clyde robbers,
Yeah.
Be a robber gangs, mafia.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you can work on that. So anyway, welcome to the show. Give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside this new book, When the Radio Went Silent.
After I retired a couple years ago, I was having some issues, not serious issues, but just trying to decide what to do with my life. When you retire in this service, it's like everybody just disappears. There is definitely a brotherhood in law enforcement. We keep in contact. We phone calls, but all of a sudden, everybody just kind of disappears. You still have a few that get in contact with you, but it can be pretty lonely.
Yeah.
So I started writing. I had a lot of books that I had in my Word program on my computer that I started a few years back, and then just started writing what it's like to be retired in basically emergency services, not just law enforcement, fire, medical.
Yeah, with emergency service, you guys kind of have a brotherhood just like the military. You spend long, 12, 18-hour days sort of thing, and especially if you're working in rural or tribal places, and you get to know people. There's an element of trust there that you have in the brotherhood there.
Yes.
And so I can imagine, just like I've seen my military friends struggle with coming out of the military, that loss of the brotherhood's a challenging thing.
It really is. It's a real loss. Not only the ones that you worked with, and some have retired, and some have passed since, and some passed on the job.
Yeah.
And so, lot to think about.
My one friend used to say, it was actually one of my employees back in the day. He used to say, there's a time in your life, Chris, where you go to weddings. There's a time in your life where you go to funerals. And,
that's correct.
And he goes, all your friends around you, they disappear. And if you're lucky, if you ever noticed your friends disappearing, it might be you.
That's true. That's true.
Where is everybody? I'm just here in this cloud alone. What the hell is going on? The Motley Crew is not here. Clearly, I went the wrong place. And so you've written how many books now? I see quite a few here for sale on Amazon.
I think about 14.
14 books. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We've had so many folks like yourselves on the show. People who are detectives, newspaper crime editors, whatever. They did the crime page for this, so they'd have to go out and crimes. People like yourself, EMTs. You guys, just like the military folks that write the Tom Clancy's and all those books, they come back with their military experience and knowledge and acumen, and they can write about all the guns and they can write in a way that I couldn't, because I've never been in the military or being an EMT or being a police officer. I watch Cops a lot. I love watching that show.
Yeah.
Anytime I get depressed, I go watch Cops. Within about 2 hours, I'm like, my life's really great. I'm not having my trailer home door kicked in and where am I? And it's always the guy without the shirt that's going to get arrested.
Exactly.
That guy. He's on the couch giving him attitude. Yeah. And then you see the guys fighting the cops or getting pulled over because they got 10 pounds of weed in the back. And you're just like, my life is really good. I think it's awful, but I could be any one of these guys on TV. So I don't have the cops banging on my door. That's kind of how I live my life. I just, whatever I got to do to keep cops from banging on my door, I'm all good with that. Right. And it sounds like some of your cases, maybe there's probably some interesting thing that goes on tribal reservations and things like that.
That's correct. We're unique. As a reservation is a nation within a reservation.
Yeah.
And we have our own tribal laws. We have our own tribal law and order codes, which a lot don't pertain to those who are not native. However, as time went by, we have started to get more tribal police departments who are recognized by the state. And as long as we do the equivalency academies, are able to enforce state laws too on the reservation.
Yeah.
So that has made it easier. Otherwise, we'd have to call a sheriff's department or, the town that's next door to come and make the arrest of a non-Indian.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had a run-in last year when I went down to Nevada to have my surgery done. I had to bring my mom because they won't release you. So I had to go up to Utah, grab my mom, and bring her down. And at the hospital, I'm like, can you just put me in an Uber? No, right. I can't. And we stopped at that Indian reservation that's there just outside north of Las Vegas. And they sell a lot of crazy fireworks there. Yeah. But this little guy had been watching cars coming and going, and he saw us pull up, and my mom was trying to put on her shoes and she was getting out of the car, and I'd run in to hit the restroom real quick. And he jumped in the front seat and tried stealing the car. He was trying to figure out how to turn it on and everything. And thankfully I came walking out about that time. I was concerned about my mom's welfare, but I really had to go. And fortunately he jumped out of the car, so I didn't have to make contact with him, because I don't like to get in a scuffle if I haven't looked at someone over to see what they're carrying. Right.
Good idea. Yeah,
you know that was, they call that the gun run.
Yeah.
Where they have those baggy pants, and I like to have some distance so I know what I'm working with. And fortunately, the tribal police officer who was guarding the station had kind of had his eye on him, and he saw my altercation with him, and he came over, arrested the guy. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're like, "Yeah, we're going to take him to the tribal leader and figure out what they're going to do with him." I'm like, oh, "That's kind of wild."
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, a little different.
A similar case, if I can say it or tell you about it, it was over in the west side along the Washington coast, a reservation, and a school bus disappeared. And the school bus actually made it about 50 miles. When they stopped it, there was two young boys. I bet they were 12, 13. One was steering, one is running the gas. And
when do I hit the pedal for the brake?
Yeah, exactly. About 50 miles they drove before they got caught.
Really? Oh, so, they're just having a good old time.
Yeah.
For them. I don't know. You've changed the names of the innocent or the guilty. Tell us about how that works, and what's a favorite story that you have out of the book? Maybe you can tease us out a little bit.
One in particular, and this is where it becomes a little confusing between one book and the other. But my first call, I started when I was 19 years old through the Comprehensive Employment Act. I believe it was President Nixon.
Oh, wow.
in 70. So our FTO, our field training, was pretty limited in those days. And pretty much you ride with another officer, and then for a couple of weeks, you get to know the area better and get to know some of the people. And then pretty soon you're on your own, and you got a badge and you got a gun. You do a little shooting. But one of my first calls was we called to a house fire, and it was on the west end of our reservation. It was just off the reservation, but again, the county is limited to the number of deputies they have. I responded, and when I got there, the whole house was inflamed.
Oh, no.
It once it burned down in a rural area again, a volunteer fire department, and they got there, and there was not much they could do. So we found out that the mother boyfriend had left her and for another woman, and this is one of those, I'll say, if I can say it, a hippie calling me up in the woods. And she locked the kids in the house and torched it.
With the kids in the house? With
the kids in the house. 3 of them. Oh. I think it was 3, 5, and 7.
Wow.
And so I had to help find them, and 2 of them were hid under beds, which is common with little children when they're in a situation like that.
Wow.
And help dig them out of the ashes. And you're quite emotional when you're that young.
Yeah.
I keep my head up during those days because not too many years before me, I had friends that go to Vietnam at 18 years old. So I thought, if they can handle that, I'm going to have to handle this.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what got me by through the first few years.
Probably the brotherhood too, being able to maybe talk to people and say
it is, yes.
Yeah. And say, hey, this is do you guys talk about stuff like that might bother you as kind of a fleshing out of kind of therapy of it, maybe, or anything?
Yeah, we do. And sometimes we've got to be careful because a lot of officers tell you, we'll go to lunch and be in a building and start talking about things, and people are looking at us like we're pretty rude. We'll be talking about things and even chuckling a little bit. We're not laughing at the situation. We're just laughing at the conversation.
Yeah, and you got to find some levity sometimes, brevity.
You have to. You really do.
In life. That's kind of what comedy is for. Sometimes we laugh at the horrible things that we do in life. You know, it is what it is. But it's unfortunate. Yeah,
it is. And that's kind of what the book's about. So you have that camaraderie, and we get together. And once it's done, there's not too many resources. However, there is, and it's in my book on different numbers you can call to get help. The divorce rate in law enforcement is huge. I'm not sure if there's anything anymore. And
my wife divorced me in law enforcement because I wasn't getting shot enough. No, I'm just kidding. See what we did there, folks. Anyway, he keeps coming home alive, and I'm not going to ever be able to cash this insurance policy. I keep hiring drug dealers. Never mind.
You hope not.
It sounds like my first date marriages. Anyway, what was the inspiration? You've written a lot of books. Now, is this part of a series at all, and that links to your other books of characters or anything like that?
My first 10 years was, like I said, my first one, and it's this book here. It wasn't real. I look back at it now, and there's a lot of mistakes I made, repeat paragraphs, and I guess that just happens. And then I went on to write some more stories about my dog, and more of some fiction books. And then I did get to When the Radio Goes Silent as more time went by. It takes a while for these stories to resurface. There's stories that I had forgot until I started writing. And once they surfaced, and then I was able to tell the story.
Yeah, it probably keeps some of that buried just to not really think about it, right?
Oh, you really do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. But it makes for great stories and maybe good lessons for people what not to do, folks. They had this gentleman on years ago. We've had a lot of people who've done crime writing, crime reporting writing, stuff like that. And he was a detective. He was a murder department detective, whatever it's called. Anyway, for homicides, that's the word I was looking for. And so he saw just a lot of ugly stuff. I can't remember where he lived. Probably New York or Philadelphia, some major city where there's a lot of that you're going to run into. And so he would always have to investigate sex crimes. I think that was his specialty, or Maybe he just got a lot of them. I don't know. But sex crimes. And sometimes it would be something where someone tied someone up and it went wrong. Someone wasn't really trying to kill people. And then, of course, people that were trying to kill people. But he had all these wild sex crime stories that he collected. He started writing books, and basically they're like the 50 Shades of Grey. And I think he even calls them the 50 Shades of something else. Yeah. But they're like basically books of stories about real life sex crimes, although he changes the names and the scenarios to protect the innocent, whatever. But he's killing it. The chicks love it. It's because like 50 Shades of Grey, but they love all this dark abuse. And dude, when I do book signings or I go, it's something. So just give you an idea. If you got any of those stories, maybe you got a future book, another hit there.
Yeah. It's kind of true. People kind of like the dark side.
Do they really?
And, some of the favorite movies are
it's true
fiction like that. Some fiction's real.
I'll never forget going to see the movie Seven. I haven't watched that movie since.
Yeah.
Got a big fight with my girlfriend. We were so disturbed by that movie in the car driving home after Seven. We went at each other, and the next day we're like, I think it was the movie. And she's like, yeah, I think we were just so disturbed that we went at each other. Now, the title for the book, why do you call it that? Or can you tell us why you call it that? When the Radio Went Silent?
Every day we check into service, and I get into this. If you're a rural law enforcement officer, most of the time you have your car parked at your house and you have a portable in the house. And back in the days, they didn't have cell phones, so you just sat and waited for that phone to ring. And it was every day, every night. It could be Christmas Day. I had to deliver a death message on Christmas Day once.
Wow.
And when I arrived, the guy came out with the 30-30 and twirled it at me and was going to shoot me.
Really?
He was just drunk or on something.
Wow.
And he was like the rifleman. He swung it around. And luckily, one of the things that we learn in rural law enforcement is we learn how to talk, and we learn how to talk fast.
Yeah.
You have to have your own psychology and talk people down, because your backup might be an hour away. And
you're out there in the middle of the sticks, some guy in a trailer home, one of those campers that I always see up the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and
luckily
he's got guns. He always has guns, right?
Yeah. Luckily, on that case, his brother came up behind him and got the gun away from him. And,
that's good.
And I stuck my finger in his chest. Don't you ever do that to me. I almost killed you.
Oh, yeah. You're pointing. I've watched cops, like I say, a lot of times, man. You don't want to do anything that it's going to, the officer's already on edge and he's in danger. This is a dangerous thing to do. But I imagine, I don't know how it is on reservations, but I know when I was a kid, we had someone who came and stayed with us for the summer from the reservation, Indian reservation here in Utah. And he would talk to us a lot about the alcoholism, the abuse, sexual assault, all sorts of crazy things that would go on in reservations. Is a lot of that stuff kind of cleaned up a bit, or is it still pretty heavy duty?
I'm pretty proud. I'm proud of my reservation and the reservations here in the Spokane area, because from when I started 45 years ago now, it was pretty bad. Alcoholism was high.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sad stories that went along with that. But in the last 25 years, they have fantastic alcohol programs.
Oh, good.
With the casinos that a lot of them have, a lot of gambling programs. And there's help for anybody that wants it.
That's awesome.
And so it's come a long ways. Getting our pride back on a reservation.
Yeah.
Who we are, where we've been, and where our grandparents and our elders have been. And so it's a good turnaround.
I know COVID was really hard on the reservations too. And water rights and water stuff nowadays. Everyone's fighting over water nowadays.
We've been pretty lucky. Yeah. Our reservations along the Spokane and Columbia River. There's been no shortage of water.
That's got to have water. That's
right.
That's what my doctor keeps telling me. I got to hydrate.
Yeah.
So, and then, what do you find most fulfilling about this in writing? Clearly, you've been doing it for quite a while, and you've got a knack for it.
It's fulfilling is, I guess, getting it off my chest. And letting other officers know that not just tribal, anybody that's in a rural area, and actually any cop, is being able to talk about it. And I'm talking about it in words and putting it in words and putting it in a book. And again, like I said, sometimes I repeat myself, but what I'm repeating is important.
Yeah, you're making it.
Yeah, trying to make sure that there's an understanding. And the one I just finished is behind the badge when you're not wearing it. And that, again, gets into that, talking about the family and an understanding that when we get home from something very serious, either delivering a death message when it involves kids or any death message, and you walk home and your wife's upset because the garbage isn't out and one of the kids spilt the milk on the floor, and that's as important to her at that moment as what you just did.
Yeah.
In your mind, you're going, "Are you kidding me? You know what I just had to deal with?" You can't say that. You have to put that behind you and listen to what your other half or your kids, the problems they had, until you're able to sit maybe by yourself or talking to a friend and get through it.
Yeah, that's certainly not something you could share with them, right? Or do you? Is that healthy to do that?
Sometimes, but sometimes it's not healthy. There's a lot that my family didn't know.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it with my wife now more than I did back then.
Yeah. And that reminds me of that scene in the movie Heat where the wife is giving him a bad time. They're out to dinner or celebrating something, and his wife's giving him a bad time. You never share with me. You don't tell me what happens during the day. You don't
absolutely.
share with me.
That's it.
And there's that line where he goes, "Okay, so you want me to come home, honey, and tell you how I found the mothers cracked out who put their kid in the microwave and cooked them?
Yeah.
Because it was crying too loud. You want me to share that? Does that sound like sharing to you?" I never really thought about it up until then. I'm like, yeah, you kind of have to compartmentalize your life. And I imagine that leaves you, anytime we compartmentalize our lives, that leaves you in, you kind of feel separated, maybe the word, or you kind of feel like, I don't know, you don't feel like you're whole. Like maybe you're living different lives, sort of thing.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Kind of like me when I have 3 mistresses.
Yeah. It's not safe.
It's really
when we call it cop paranoia. When we go to a restaurant or we're with a family, and you usually notice cops, and I had a biker tell me that once, because we'll always try to find some place that we could sit where we could watch the door.
Yeah.
We always have our back away from an entrance. And there's a reason for that. And always looking. My wife, he just said, what are you always looking at? And she's assuming it was the girls. It's maybe some days it was. But I was looking.
Trying to get the chicks coming in the door.
Yeah. I was looking
at it. I got to pick up one somewhere.
You never know. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Safety and security. You guys know how things go down, right? Somebody's going to rob the place. If someone's going to, and sadly, a lot of police officers have been hijacked, just having their meal, shot in the cars in New York. I know, I think it was in Vegas. We had some cops that were jumped. They were just eating lunch, I think, at the pizza place, and they got jumped and just assassinated, basically. And so you could be a target as a cop, where there's all sorts of crazy, weird ass people out there, mentally unstable, and they're going to do stupid shit. Yeah.
We had that happen in Washington State, over in the Seattle area, where 3 officers were in a coffee shop just enjoying their, and somebody walked in and shot them. So.
Yeah. That's just crazy, man. That's just crazy. And you're not really prepared for that. You're to be on guard at all times. It's bad enough when you go home, you're also the protector of the family, so you got to listen to what's rustling in the bushes outside, keep your gun by your bed maybe or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to deal with all that. Not to mention, if the wife comes at you might have to pull a gun on her and say, "Freeze. You have the right to remain silent." No, I'm just doing jokes, folks.
Yeah. We're sometimes threatened daily. On the job.
By the wife? Or, never mind.
You never know.
We do a lot of marriage jokes on the show.
Yeah, that's all right.
There's some counseling you can do for the wife. Or just wave it around and be like, "I have the right to kill people.
Yeah.
And you don't." So I win the argument. Anyway, that's probably not something you should do, folks.
It's a different world, Chris.
It is.
I was invited to the White House in 2021. 2015. My time gets mixed up. It was by President Obama's 21st Century Law Enforcement.
Oh, wow.
And this was after some of the racial problems. And we were all getting together. And at the White House, I don't know how many total police chiefs got to attend that. And we were just talking about it. It's a different world we live in. It's a different generation. Our generation, took us behind the we were in a woodshed and beat our butts.
Yeah.
But those days are kind of gone.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is these kids are now adults. We're seeing a disrespect towards law enforcement.
Oh, yeah. Toward everybody.
Like you said, you saw the cop shows. The bottom line is comply. If they don't think it's right, get cuffed up, go do what you got to do, and fight it through the courts.
Yeah.
Not on the street, because you're not going to win.
Yeah, you're not going to outrun the radio and the helicopter either.
That's right.
I always love when they're like, oh, we'll just take off, and the officers, dude, you gotta, maybe didn't have your driver's license or your tags expired, and now you're going to turn into a 10 to 15 year felony by endangering everyone else driving crazy. I mean, you talk about going out of the frying pan into the fire. So that's why I always just don't stop at all. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that, folks. No, like I said, I've watched. My favorite part of cops is when they tase the dude. He's like, I dare you to tase me. Yeah. And they're like, we're going to tase you. They give him lots of warnings. And he's like, I dare you, bring it on. And he'll run up on the cop. That's a bad idea.
Yeah. And some of those guys actually pull the wires out and keep coming. Yeah. And that's what's amazing.
I've seen that. The cops are just like, hit him again. Holy crap. We're going to have to use one. At that point, they're probably going to use the one with bullets on you. So probably not a good idea. It's probably not a good idea. And then, assaulting police officer doesn't do good for jail time either. Yeah. To be certified in a taser, you have to be tased. And a lot of the public doesn't realize that. Oh, yeah. That's fun. You go through the academy, or if you already went through it and you're going to carry a taser, you get to take the charge. And so you get to feel what that feels like. It's funny to watch. We all get a kick out of watching videos of that. It's probably about what it felt like on my 8 divorces from my 8 marriages. It could be. We change the number every time. It's a great callback. So what do you hope? It sounds like there's some things that you hope that people maybe that aren't in the services business of T's and police officers, et cetera, firefighters. What do you want them to kind of learn? Probably some of the things we've been talking about today. Yes, and I want them to understand that there is help out there. And there's some phone numbers, and I should have had them ready. They're in my book that you can call for help. I know 988 is one that you can use if you're suicidal or you got mental health issues, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And and like I said, when the radio goes silent, that's what it means. The radio quit. You're not hearing it no more. Yeah. You don't have backup by just grabbing a microphone. Yeah. And again, your buddies are still out there. Yeah. And so that's what it's all about. And it is life after the last call. Life after the last call. I know when you guys retire, you guys do a sign off, right? You guys do a last sign off sometimes on the radio, ceremonial sort of last sign off. You retire and stuff, and that's good. You got to go home. What's that old adage from the Untouchables? I can't remember his name. The great actor. He says, "Going home alive" or something. That's your number one job. Yeah. Congratulations. And that's the goal. There's so many officers. That's what we do. Our goal, we got into this because I got into it because of CETA. I was ready to go in the Air Force, and this opportunity came up, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. But give it a shot, literally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Learn gunplay. But the whole goal is to get home alive to your family, make it through your career. And fortunately, there's a lot that don't. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy things that can happen. Here in Utah, we had a police officer. I believe the guy did hit him on purpose, but he was off the side of the road pulling someone over for whatever, and he was doing that ticketing thing off the side of the road they do, and the guy swerved and hit him. I don't know if it was an accident or if it was intentional, but I think it was intentional. And I think it was one of those times where the guy just, and so now they have a law here in Utah, and I think most states should have this law if they don't already, where if there's a police officer pulled over the side, you're supposed to slow down and give him a clear lane for some space. Yeah. Because anything can happen, man. I've seen all sorts of scrambles where they throw the door into the cop and stuff. On your other books, is there any future ones coming out that we can tease out, talk to people about? I just finished, this is my latest, and it's called The Journey of the Storyteller. And that's been my experience in book writing and publishing. I get calls daily of
companies that want to help me out and get different ways of expressing and then selling my book. A lot of them are vanity type things, costing you a lot of money to put your name out there. And so that's my latest one. And then I have baby boomers of the 21st century. And that's us baby boomers who are trying to deal with technology. Everybody's carrying one of these around, and you get calls daily, and you get scam calls daily, and trying to deal with that. And then the other one along with that one is, trying to think. I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay.
So, I've got some sitting in front of me.
So
the other thing, the other one that I've recently put out there is "Death of America" by Internal Hate.
Oh,
this one isn't basically. It's not political. I'm really not on one side or the other. I just wish people get along, and so I get into what we're seeing now between the two parties and the name calling and the back and forth and decisions not being made. It's just ridiculous. It's heartbreaking to see what's happened in our country.
Yeah, it used to be we all had one common enemy, the Russians, the USSR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I spent most of my career of being a child hiding under a desk for that.
Yep. So I get into a native thing called the healing circle.
Oh.
And what that is, in a lot of reservations, if you have a family dispute or there's somebody within your family, you come together with either a healer or maybe a medicine man or a chief, and you hold an eagle feather in your hand and you express how you feel.
Oh.
And the rules of that is nobody raises their voices. Everybody tries to keep calm, but they have the ability to just speak what's on their mind. And so can
you still choke someone out if you want to, though? Asking for a friend.
Probably not good.
Asking for a friend.
So in my book, I get about Congress and maybe some of the countries, their top executives sitting around in a healing circle and talking this thing out.
Yeah, it might be a good idea. That or we can stab them in the face with the feathers when they're bad. Oh, that work. I don't know. Don't do that, folks. Violence is never the answer in politics. You can think about it, though, and sometimes that might feel really good, but don't do it.
Yeah, we're not into reading minds yet, so I don't think so. But disclosure's coming out.
Yeah, that one movie. So it's interesting, and with your tribal background and stuff, do you have Indian blood in you, or a background in that? Do you language and stuff like that? Are you familiar with when you worked there?
My father was enrolled in Spokane, and I did not have quite enough blood to be enrolled. So I'm what they call a first-generation descendant.
Oh. Did you sometimes have to get respect from people on the reservation because they're like, you're not. You're
exactly.
You're a gringo, as they call me when I go to Mexico.
My first book gets into that, my first 10 years as a tribal police officer, because most of the kids around there knew me. When I grew up with them, I played Little League on the reservation. But I went to a primarily non-tribal school, and everybody there thought I was a full-blood Indian. And as a little boy, and during the times of Rawhide, some of the best westerns, I played it up. I said, yeah, I am. Yeah. And then I go back to the reservation, and my eyes are blue. And there's a story about that in my books, too.
Oh, really?
And how my eyes took out. And so I tanned dark. I was dark and everything, but my eyes just boop. And I used to call myself a fence rider because I could be with a lot of tribal people, and they'd be talking about across the reservation line, and I'd listen, and then I'd be on the other side of the river, and they'd be talking about those Indians, and so that's pretty much how I grew up.
You got both sides going on there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
I remember when I had an Indian brother, foster child, stay with us for the summer. I mentioned our church sponsored it, and I remember I took him for a ride in an elevator. He'd never been riding in an elevator before. And boy, he grabbed onto me, and he was about having a heart attack when that thing started moving up. What's going on? I'm like, it's fine. It's an elevator. And but yeah, it was kind of fun to give him that experience and stuff. But police work's hard. You get to see the drudges of society. I would have the hardest time not going bad. I just really would. Like pedophiles. If I caught pedophiles in the act, they wouldn't make it back to the station, and the sergeant would be like, Chris, so we need to talk. This is the third pedophile who's had his head blown off accidentally by your gun going off the back of the car. There's a pattern here, buddy. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not good with guns, evidently. something.
But that's funny. That's one of the questions they ask you when you take your polygraph to get into law enforcement. Is
how do you go about that?
Yeah, when you go down a dark alley and you know this guy is raping a young person.
Yeah, it's hard to have that everyone's innocent until proven guilty when you're the guy who found them in the act, right? And
especially when you're a father.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. I think you mentioned children are the hardest to see when you're a thing, but so all your books now, do they kind of vary here on the Amazon in different topics, or are they all the same sort of genre?
Most are the same. The fiction books I'm writing, and I'm just learning to write fiction. When you go through so many years, you have to write the facts.
Yeah,
and then to make up a story. But there's a few of them that I have written that are fiction. A lot of them with a native background. One called the Dog Remembers, and that's about a man who talked to an elder who got a medicine of different herbs and mosses and pine needles, and when they took it, it made them see what the dog sees.
Oh wow!
And it's an interesting. It's something I don't think it's true. But it was a medicine that during the old days they could look at a coyote and see what the coyote sees and what they smell, and maybe where the game's going to be for you to bring home to family.
Wow, that's pretty interesting there. Yeah, pretty wild. As we go out, give people a final pitch out to pick up your books and do all that good stuff.
Okay. Anybody that's been in the business, I spent a couple years in Alaska. That was more fire medical up there on the North Slope during the oil fields. But when the radio goes silent, I think if you read it, one of the most important parts is having access to all the phone numbers and all the addresses of who to contact if you just need to talk.
Yeah.
If you become suicidal, if family issues, they're all involved. And I suggest, and I've been suggesting, that all academies should have at least a week where your family is able to attend, and it can be explained to them from a psychology side that they maybe will understand what the officer goes through on the job. So
thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it. Give us your .coms as we go out.
JamesWynecoop.com.
Thank you. And thank you, James. It's certainly been interesting to have you on the show, and hopefully more people read your books, enjoy them. And of course, writing stuff down really helps calm the mind. Because once it's on paper, your brain doesn't have to sit there and remind you of stuff all the time. In fact, usually I write it down and then forget about it afterwards.
Yeah, or I'll throw the piece of paper away and forget where I put it.
That too. I probably have a million of those. Yeah. Thank you very much, James, for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, and thanks for tuning in. Order the book, When the Radio Went Silent, A Life on the Road Between Duty and Home by James S. Wynecoop. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, James, that should have us out. Great show.